Hey crawlers, RC enthusiasts, RW down here in the shop. Wanted to show you what I'm up to here. You might remember I made an Eclipse chassis. Now I'm working on a pickup truck style chassis that uses shocks that are 20 millimeters shorter. It's still a 2.2P legal type chassis is what I'm working on. It's going to be made out of 1/4" Lexan, so I just want to show you what I've done is I've just printed out my full-size parts. I'm going to cut out the top shock brace, which runs on the outside of the chassis, and then I'm going to cut out the sides of the chassis. I need 2 of these. So I've been just having balls of fun here. Just wanted to show you just how much fun this is. Oh yeah, just over and over. This way my drill bit won't slip. Well, this isn't very exciting, so I'm not going to show you a whole bunch of it, but I'm going to show you how I get started. Get the tip right where I want it before I even turn it on. Clean the crap off each and every time, and I move it around so each hole will be nice and clean on the back side. So I'm using this piece underneath as sacrificial material. It's so much fun. Now those 2 holes were not in line, but I've got a great big long line of holes here. And the way I'm going to get this set up is I'm going to drill the first one, then I'm going to set up a little fence. Okay. This way I'll be able to keep all of those many holes in line. Alright guys, well, here it is, the plated chassis. Just like the drawing. Right. Got a random assortment of spacers in here. The final product will have Delrin, 1/4" Delrin, drilled and tapped for spacers. The reason I'm playing around with the different spacers is because this material is flexible. You can see I've added some curves to the side where I narrow it in the front, make it a little wider in the back. Okay. There's a lot of ways to put this together. It depends on what works best for a particular set of axles and how you get everything set up. Hey, here we are getting ready to do a transplant. Okay, so I got the first part of the transplant done, the easy part. The rear axle comes off, you just unplug 2 wires and you're good to go. Just undo some screws. The front's going to be a little more complicated. You got to, slide the electronics out with it and all that. I thought it might be worth having a look at this. So what I've done is I've undone my lowers, I've undone my uppers, just put the screws back, undone my shocks, unplugged my motor just to make it a little easier. Okay. Here you go, right? And I've taken the Velcro patch loose on the receiver. And here comes my, what I call my unsmash. And it's just going to come right on out of there. So, here's the Eclipse chassis. And we're talking about, I'll have to weigh it, but I know without the skin and the lights, it's about 3.5 ounces, something like that, without any, links and stuff on it. But this is a way to have a really good look at the Eclipse chassis. and see what I've done inside there. You see the Velcro patch for the receiver. You can see how I've got these little side emitting LED strips on the sides there to beam down. A little side emitter in the front, a little side emitter on the back, and a little plug to plug them in. So it's actually very light even with the skin and everything. Nice little chassis. I'll be setting that aside for using later. But now I've got to turn my attentions to slipping this into the new chassis over here. We get that out of the way. Sorry about the background noise. Got a lot of things going on here. 4 pounds, 14 ounces. It's very close to the same weight as the Eclipse. Eclipse was 4 pounds 15 without a battery. This doesn't have the skin on it yet. So, what are we looking at? Probably lost sight of it there. It gets quite steep right around that edge, and then right here is another area that's really falls off. You can see. And right here it just drops off completely. Zoop. Okay, come down this bit here, I guess. You see just how steep that is, and this is where, if I wiggle the tires, I could just lose total traction and just slide right off. This part right here is definitely doable. What I do is I look for ways to make it a little harder on the vehicle by coming up at angles, going over things like that. You probably missed that, but see how the tire's coming up? It's ready. Ready to take a dive. And all I gotta do, just gently modulate it. I can pull out of it. See how it's breaking over that from that extra clearance, that extra 15 millimeters of clearance. Right there. That's where you notice it. Yeah. That's where it really makes a difference. The lower center of gravity overall is helping in every which way, of course. It's harder when you're doing this all one-handed, I tell you. And this is what I call big gappy. Once you end up in here, you really don't go anywhere. You're pretty much done. You can try to extricate yourself, but usually it doesn't work. But I'll try. Even though I look like I'm extricated now, I might not. I did it. Okay. Well, let's get back up on this rock. Nice save. Well, I guess got to see how that cab works for a save out in the woods. Works okay. Look at the side angle here, guys. See? Completely stable. Able to wriggle around as required. You can even go over ridiculous obstacles. I'm going to be careful doing this one-handed. I could end up bumping this thing. This is about a 6-foot drop right here if I screw it up. So things like running the dig and the burn one-handed are just maybe just a little too much for me. I'm going to end up taking a dive bomb. But you can see how it lays down. You can see how the chassis almost touches the motor, but not quite. Almost touches the gearbox, but not quite. See how the shocks are almost touching the motor, but not quite. So I think I've got my setup dialed in and literally haven't done anything to tune it. I just bolted the guts from one crawler to another and bam. What are the chances of that, huh? Very nice. Very happy with it. There's a big old crevice right there. Watch it articulate a little bit. See how everything's working on it. Again, more big giant gaps. I'm going to get hung up. There we go. Alright, now I'm totally bridging it. Cool. Cool beans. No complaints, man. Working really good. You can see good side angle action here. And break right over that ridge. So overall, I think the new chassis is going to work out just fine.